Good morning, race fans. We're here live from TRCK, and we are here for the Junior Round 1 Junior Sprint Series this morning. It's been an early start for most of us, and we've just finished practice. My name's Reno, and you're in the commentary booth with my good friend.
Yeah, I'm PJ, joined here obviously by the guys in the background, Martin, who's been with us all last year, and a new boy to the box, Joe, who's going to be controlling our replays today. So hopefully, guys, we'll get some good replays out there. If not, then Joe's a man to complain to. But the junior drivers are just making their way back into the pit lane from their practice session. There were some great times for that. So we got the best lap times here. So Morgan was a 33.487. Richardson 32.967, followed quite closely there by Cook with a 32.679, and then a tenth of a second ahead of them was Howard in first place. So these guys are all quite quick and all within half a second of each other. So sorry, a second of each other, Reno. So this is going to turn out to be quite an interesting race.
Very interesting. We've had a few delays. There was an issue with turn 1 this morning, so it has been a bit of an issue getting live today. We do apologise about that, obviously, but we are back live, and yeah, so. We've got, just for you guys at home then, it's Jamie Howard, James Cook, Charlie Richardson and Leo Morgan. We're going to go by last names now, due to obviously our live feed on Facebook, where we had a few issues with nicknames. So we've now reverted to just last names on the system.
Excellent. We might be able to bring the times up just to see those times up on screen, so you guys can see the last lap times there as well. So the last lap time was when the last crossed the line, and that actually for Howard was the fastest lap he did, was the last lap he crossed the line. So still quite some good consistency there, with most of the last lap times we win a few tenths of seconds of their best time, with the exception to Morgan there at the back. But yeah, all within 0.9 of a second of each other, and we're looking forward to the first qualifying session. So Rena, how does qualifying work this year? So for the juniors then, they do a 10-minute practice, which we've just seen. Qualifying then is a 5-minute session. Followed by the first of 20 lap racing. It is sprint series, so very similar to the adults, except they're 10 laps shorter. Then we're going to do something a little bit different for juniors. You've seen the cadets where they just do their 1 qualifying. These guys will get 2 qualifyings. Now the second session is 1 lap qualifying. We'll see it in the adult league for both sessions, but 1 lap qualifying then, if you're not sure how that works, you go out of the pit lane, you cross the start finish line. That then begins your flying lap. You then cross the start-finish line again, that completes your lap, and you're back into the pits on the following lap. So there's actually 3 laps out on circuit, an out lap, a fast lap, and in lap. The boys will be making sure that the drivers are doing that correctly with a signal, a pit board signal, and obviously the green light on pit exit. So we are just going to let the drivers just get ready for the qualifying. So we are just signalling over. There you can see the grid, so that's where we're going to be starting the race from in a second. But this is a 5-minute qualifying session, and as PJ already said, the 0.9 of a second between each other after practice. They have had a little bit of yeah, so they've had a little bit of practice out on track, and I know a lot of these racers here are actually been here and practicing quite a lot, so we're expecting to see some quite good things from these guys out on circuit at the moment. So the guys are now getting back into their karts. We'll cut to the camera very shortly as they make their way into their karts. So there you go, we can see the youngsters here. They're not weighted, are they? They're not weighted for this one, are they, Reno?
No, so drivers only have the weight box on full. They're not actually a weighted series, it's just used as a restrictor for the juniors. So with the cadets, later on today you'll see that there's an engine restriction and the weight box on, but for juniors it's just the weight box.
Fantastic. So these young racers, they are just getting into their karts now. We've got 3 in pit lane with 1 more just to arrive. Now Norby's doing the helmet checks here to make sure these guys are kitted up and safe as they get into their karts. A lot of them look quite natural actually sliding into these karts. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do on this first corner. And see how kind of they progress through the session, because as you know, as before, so we've got this practice session, 10 minutes, and a 5-minute qualifier.
5-minute qualifier, yeah.
Followed by
20-lap race.
A 20-lap race. So that is going to be quite a workout for these young drivers. So it's going to be a matter of endurance, a matter of speed. So it's going to be a good morning, I think. And there are a few parents gathered on the gantry here at the moment, and I know that our live feed's going out into the diner upstairs, where when it's open, you guys can grab yourselves nice hot tea, coffee to keep you warm whilst you're watching, and then pizzas, burgers and all sorts of lovely things, chicken wings, nachos and fantastic things. Okay, perfect. So we're going to go into qualifying in just a second. We've just got the last driver going in there at the moment.
So let's have a look at cart numbers. They should be the same again, I believe. So we've got Richardson, which is Charlie. He's in cart 42. Then we have Howard, which is Jamie on 45. Behind him is Cook. That's James Cook in cart 48. And Leo's at the back. He's in the red suit, so everyone else is in black with a bit of other colours on, but he's in the main red suit. So that's Leo Morgan in cart 50, who was slowest in practice. But let's see what qualifying can do. We've got 5 minutes. The session's live.
So first drivers going out now, aren't they, Reno? And it's really important that in this qualifying session they make sure they find themselves some space on the circuit, because it isn't about position. It isn't who crosses the line first at the end of the qualifying session. It's who has the fastest time. So if these drivers have thought about this, they're going to try and spread themselves out a little bit. So far they look like they're still bunched up together, with the driver out in front getting probably the good track position there.
We saw in the qualifying session for cadets earlier in the year, in the winter series, they were racing each other. They don't find the concept right, exactly how qualifying works. You know, look at Leo. He's a little bit too close to James going into turn 1, but they are starting to spread out a little bit. A little mistake actually from Leo following, so maybe a little bit too close behind. Find the space, and he can get a quick lap time going.
Yeah, so they're only likely to get 8 laps in this particular session, as it's a 5-minute session and they're lapping just over 30 seconds. So 8 or 9 laps for this. So it's really, really important that those 8 or 9 laps are out in the clear with no traffic.
Ooh.
We've got some contact made there on the exit of the corner, so that driver's got to take a little bit more time as he comes through there.
I think that was James Cook. He's just got a bit wrong under the bridge. He's lost a bit of time.
So the first times now are coming through on the screen, so we can see Howard there is up the top there with a 32.834, followed by Richardson with a 33.604, and then Morgan with a 34.434, and Cook there with 33.980. So that's last lap time, so some better lap times on the right hand side. Thank you, Reno.
I was just going to say that, sorry PJ. Yeah, so Howard actually did the right time, and so did Richardson, but Morgan there going quicker on a 33.7, and young James Cook is a little bit quicker than his previous lap, 33.9, but they're crossing the line again. Let's see how they get on.
Yeah, so Howard's actually backing up quite close there to the driver in cart 42, so he's not going to be putting himself, so that's Richardson.
Cook, who made the mistake earlier, he's up to second now on a 33.0, so he's only a matter of 2 tenths off of Howard.
You can see these guys going around the corkscrew right next to each other, and that is not really what you want to be doing for a qualifying session. You want to back off. It sounds odd to actually slow down on one of your laps because you think every lap counts, but in this really it's only 1 lap that counts, not every lap. 100%
PJ, it's all about that 1 lap. You don't matter how many laps you do in a practice session, it's how quick you can do that 1 single lap. We've got 2 minutes remaining, and we haven't had any changes so far. Fastest lap that time round, actually, James Cook has gone a little bit quicker on a 32.938, but everyone else is sort of not quite there.
Yeah, so Morgan's actually being the wisest one here, and he's making sure he's out there at the back. He's got plenty of space, so if the guys in front make a mistake, it isn't going to compromise his lap time. So he's now building up a little bit more pace. He seems to be going almost a little bit quicker every single lap. So it's going to be interesting to see what it does when he crosses the line this time.
Quicker time from Jamie Howard, 32.463 that lap round, so that's much better. Richardson gone quicker himself, but not quite catching him on a 33.178. So he's only a couple of attempts behind Cook, actually, so that could be an interesting one.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see where they line up on the grid, because there is one side that you want to be on, and that's on the inside starting grid. So positions 1 and 3 tend to be the more preferable positions rather than 2nd or 4th. But by no means does that mean that being on the outside of the circuit means you're going to get a bad start, because if you've got your eyes on those lights and you get on that throttle as soon as you can really start to make up some places. So
there was a barriers board going out to one of the drivers. It was either Richardson or Cook. I'm not sure which one it was, PJ, but I definitely heard the board go out there.
Absolutely, there has been a little bit of contact with the barriers from the drivers as they come out through the tunnel so far this morning. I think there's a little bit more grip, or they're not slowing down as much, or getting the car slowed down as much if there's not much grip on the braking zone.
Yeah.
Whatever the reason is we want to keep them off the barriers, mainly for safety of the staff and safety of the drivers out there, because the barriers are designed to stop you there. If they continually hit for no particular reason, then that could cause problems later on. But
if we have a quick look at the lap times, Cook and Richardson have just gone quicker, Peach, 32.865 and 32.927. They're now just separated by 0.042 of a second. So that's pretty close, and you still got Howard there. He's actually still lapping quicker than the two of them. He's got that space. He's come across the line now. Can he beat a 32.4? Not that time. Still 32.5 though. Across goes Cook and Richardson. And look at that, Cook 32.449. He's gone much quicker, 19 thousandths behind Howard now. But Richardson has gone quicker on a 32.7. And even young Leo Morgan there, the youngest driver out there, 33.215.
Yeah, I think that Richardson would probably be able to gain a little bit more in lap time if he wasn't so close up behind Cook. So I think that may be restricting him a little bit. So hopefully he might build up a little bit of a gap. I know I've just seen Cook make contact with the barrier there again on the exit of turn 1.
Checker flags out.
For
the qualifying session, and Leo's the last one to come across the line. Let's see if anyone's changed their times. No, it looks like that has been set then. So we have our grid. It's Howard on pole position from Cook, 19 thousandths of a second, Peach, on the front row. Richardson in second and Morgan in fourth.
Yeah, so that's quite interesting actually, because now there was a 0.9 of a second gap between the drivers in the practice session, but now it's only a 0.78.
Oh, yellow on top of the corkscrew. That's young Morgan. He's spun out there. Must have just got it a little bit wrong going into the corner.
Good time to get it wrong though.
Definitely, yeah. It's not going to benefit him much there though.
No, so these drivers now making their way back into the pit lane. They're going to have a very small break just before they go back out into the races to make sure that we're not overworking them too much. So it's a 20-lap race. That's quite some distance, and you know, it can come down to one mistake. You know, we've seen how close these drivers are just on their practice and qualifying times, and you know, if one of these drivers makes a mistake, it can really open it up for everyone else. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, Reno.
I am too, mate. You know, we've had our problems this morning. We have had our problems this morning.
Well, yeah, I'm here too early. That's the first thing.
Yeah, but after qualifying, I'm very optimistic for just how well this race could be going. Obviously, that issue down at turn 1 is still going to be a possible issue as they come round onto the grid. But boys are on it. I trust them, and yeah, I'm looking forward to how this first corner on the 20-lap race is going to go. Are they going to attack or are they going to defend? You know?
I actually predict quite a ferocious start is probably the best way of putting it. I think it's going to be ultimately clean and good racing. That's more wishful thinking than definitely knowing that for certain. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to this first corner because these guys are going to want to capitalise as much as they can on the first lap.
Definitely.
Rather than trying to work on the time. And this is something that racing drivers develop over time. They realise that a race is longer than one corner.
Of course it is.
And these guys, the fantastic thing about this league is we're actually giving these guys an opportunity to practice at a young league. I didn't start go-karting properly until I was about 25, and even then you can argue at the age of 30. I still don't do it properly, but it's certainly, you know, I learnt a lot in that time. I've raced against some great guys. I raced against some terrible people as well.
Yeah.
You get a great mix of amateur leagues, and that's the thing to remember here. This is an amateur league, so it doesn't require that massive amount of investment that karting for the junior drivers often does. And
not forgetting, Peach, these are still drivers between the ages of 12 and I think we've only got one that's 15. The league age limit is 16. And for most of these boys, it's a first opportunity to drive in some sort of league, championship, however you want to do it. So it's a lot about learning. It's a first race. I think every single one of them out there has not done a competitive race before. Arguably Richardson, I'm not 100%. I know he does a lot of testing out of the from outside our track. So it's definitely an opportunity to see just how these guys behave, how these guys race. I'm just looking at Richardson here. He's just got out of his kart. Maybe there's a small issue with 42. He's not happy with something. I think he's jumping into 47. So we'll find out from the marshals what Richardson thinks about that, because now he's obviously going out there with cold tyres, a little bit extra fuel because 47 hasn't been used. It won't make that much of a difference, obviously, PJ, but
in the mind of a racing driver, though, things like that, you know, an extra 10 laps or 20 laps of fuel in there, you know, is in the mind of a racing driver, is, you know, half a second. But in reality, it's really not.
A lot smaller, yeah.
But, you know, if he's not comfortable with the car that he's been in and he's been moved to another one, then he has got that situation where he's going to be starting on cold tyres. So let's watch him as he goes into that first corner, because the first thing that's going to happen, really, is he's going to be got hard on those brakes, on the cold tyres, and he's going to have to really be smart and make sure he takes into consideration braking a little bit early. We've got one of the drivers going around to the grid now, actually. I believe that would be Howard, and he's warming his tyres up as he comes through. And they're so forth for Cook as well. Cook's warming his tyres up as he comes through.
Richardson is just leaving pit lane now, so let's just keep our eyes on him with the change car as they come down to the grid. Obviously, Leo Morgan's just leaving pit lane now, and Jamie's already got to the grid, so all that tyre warming could be for nothing there, Peach.
It could be, because the longer you sit on that grid, the cooler your tyres get. Now, one thing a lot of racing drivers, and it's a little secret I know, one of many, but one thing that people don't actually warm up on their way to the grid are their brakes. And that's when we start getting locked brakes and they start spinning out in the first corner. So as much as it is important to warm those tyres up, it's even more so important to warm that brake up, because going in with cold brakes, you're just not going to get the feel through the pedal that you want. Especially
down turn one indoor track, PJ, you're going to get sideways.
Absolutely. So these youngsters are now sitting on the grid. We can see them there. We might do some interviews afterwards. We'll just see how they get on.
I think the boys are getting ready to go. So remember, that's Howard on pole position, and the lights are going on.
There's red lights.
Lights
out, away we go, and they're coming down to the first corner. Good start from all the drivers, but a little bit of a crowding there from Richardson over Morgan. Very, very clean start to the first corner. The guys are coming through. There's absolutely no issues there. Car 45 of Howard has managed to gain a little bit of a gap to the car behind, which is Cook. And as they all come down into the corkscrew now, we can see them. There's a little bit of a gap building between the front two and the last two. But it is only very much the first lap, and we're going to see hopefully these guys not crumble under the pressure of having this race result hanging on their mind.
Well, it was a good start, wasn't it, from Howard, PJ? Superb start. He got a great getaway, good traction. Got across to cover Cook very, very easily, and he's held that line very well. Turn one's not too bad at all. They've all done what they needed to do, like we were talking about earlier. So one lap down, 19 to go as they're coming up across the bridge and down into corkscrew. Bit of a gap opening between the front two. Morgan is holding on to Richardson a little bit, but they are starting to open themselves up a little bit now. So let's see how they get on as they cross the line for the second time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the gap is between these drivers as they cross the line. So over the line goes Howard at the moment. The other guys, so there's 1.2 second gap between Howard in first and Cook in second, and then an additional 1.3 second gap between Cook in second and Richardson in third, and then only half a second between Richardson in third and Morgan in fourth. So
yeah, and just while you were saying that, PJ, apologies to interrupt, Richardson got it wrong in turn one, and look at Morgan, he's right on the back of him. Very narrow line from Richardson as they go through the corkscrew. Can Morgan try and keep with him now? Obviously the pressure's getting to Richardson a little bit. Let's see if Morgan can take that advantage. And Cook is keeping Howard in check up at the front. Not as close as this though, as they cross the line for third and fourth.
So those gaps are starting to break down now. Actually, Cook's managed to gain some time on Howard there, and you can see as they go down across the bridge and down the corkscrew now that they're getting a little bit closer. There seems to be one driver seems to be quicker through the chicane than the other, and then they bunch up towards the end of the lap. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Cook can kind of work on the part of the circuit where he's losing time, and if he can, he's going to start making things a little bit more interesting. So Howard crosses the line again, and they're lapping in the
32s that 32. Time. Superb effort.
That gap to Cook actually is extended slightly, with a gap to Richardson in third, almost 5.2 seconds from the leader. So those guys at the back are going to have to keep it nice and clean, because there still may be an incident at the front that gains them that time. Putting a cart in the barrier is going to cost you at least 10 seconds. So these guys are going to make sure that they keep their, don't go for all out and out pace. When it comes to the last few laps of the race, they need to make sure they keep consistent.
At the end of the day, they've got to stay with them in case there's a mistake. It is a hard track to overtake, and me and you can vouch for that, PJ. It is a hard track to overtake. When you know where to overtake, it's quite easy. But for these young drivers, they've just got to stay consistent, stay online, stay focused, don't hit the barriers, and try and capitalise on someone making a mistake.
So Cook's managed to find a little bit of time now, actually, and he's managing to lap just a little bit quicker than Howard in front. So Howard's really going to have to start watching now, because Cook managed to get a 32.669 last time around, and it's a 32.647. The best lap time for Howard, but that was actually 2 tenths down.
Look at that. As you were saying that, they've got both changed their lap times. They're still pushing hard. 32.3 from Howard now, fastest lap. Just a reminder, guys, there is some bonus points on offer that we did forget to mention. 2 bonus points for pole position, two qualifying sessions, obviously, so that could be a massive thing. But there is a bonus point for fastest lap as well. So can Cook close the gap by getting that bonus point?
So we're watching these last two guys come through the corkscrew here, and Richardson and Morgan tend to actually be only half a second difference between them when they cross the line. So that gap's coming down a little bit. It looks like it extended this lap, but we watch and we see Howard and Cook come across the line, and there's still only a second between them. It's either 0.9 of a second or a second. These guys keep trading lap times at the moment. It's really good to see how consistent these drivers are as we watch them come through the... Actually, we're watching the back two drivers come through there at the moment.
Yeah, that's Richardson and Morgan. They're still battling it out for third position. Morgan staying with Richardson, which is very good. But we are just going to see them coming into the final corner now. The race leaders only, it looks visibly quicker this time. A little bit of a mistake there from Jamie. Across the line.
Second gap there, I reckon, when they update.
Yeah, 0.6, and a much quicker time that time from Cook. He's actually done his best lap time, 32.449.
Let's watch them as they come into the corkscrew next as well to see how much, if that gap's extending at all.
It looks a bit bigger. Maybe Cook didn't quite get a good line, but look at that line coming down the bridge. He's closed it right back up. Look, he's almost on the back of his bumper.
He is, he's right there. This is going to be interesting because this corner here is where Howard's been clipping the barrier a little bit and running a bit wide.
It's not a bad exit actually this time. Across the line they come. The gap is much smaller this time. Points. Oh no, it's not.
It's actually 2,000 per second larger.
Yeah,
Reno.
Sorry, mate. That's my bad. I should have noticed that.
Like I say, even through the chicane section here, you know, Howard seems to have a little bit of an edge, but when it comes down to running down through the corkscrew, Cook seems to gain on him considerably. So, if Cook can try and find out what it is he's losing through that chicane, I think Howard would have a lot to worry about as they now come through into the final corner again. And the gap looks relatively same, in fact, if not a little bit closer this time. I'm going to go for closer, Reno.
I think it was a better line from Cook. That lap time round 0.4 it is. So Cook is slowly getting there, putting the pressure on Howard. We've got 10 laps to go. We're halfway through, PJ. And this race is getting even more exciting.
It is. There's now a second between Richardson and Morgan at the back of the pack at the moment. So those two are still battling through as they come up through here, but we're going to keep an eye on the leaders as they come out of the tunnel. There they are. Look, they're so close to each other. It's only one mistake here from Howard will let Cook come through, and Cook needs to make sure he's in the right position to actually capitalise on it. Yeah, a little bit of a mistake actually from Cook on the final corner. The gap is 0.5. He's not close enough into turn one, but look how much he's closed all the way back up again as they come through the chicane. A little bit sideways through the third part from Howard, and Howard looking over his shoulder up the bridge. So he knows that Cook's there. Cook's got a better corkscrew. Look how much he closes. Can he get a run under the bridge? Can he have a look? He thought about it. It's a good overtaking spot if you're close enough, but you've got to be close enough, Peach. You've got to be alongside someone down there to get them on the brakes, but if you can manage to get alongside someone underneath that tunnel and sacrifice being on the outside of the circuit for the line, then that can be a really nice overtake because it kind of gives the other driver not much opportunity to defend.
I have a feeling, Peach, that Cook is going to have a look up the inside again if he can get it. Howard is constantly looking back. He's looked back twice this lap alone.
But the gap last time round was 3.3.
It's getting smaller, and this could be it. Cook got a better line coming down the bridge, but he's not close enough again.
Oh, there's contact there as Cook managed to not bring the cart down, not slow the cart down enough, which shows he's got a little bit more overpace.
Not a good line out of there from Howard. Cook's got a bit of an edge. The gap has increased slightly
to 0.4 of a second,
but 0.3 and 0.4 every lap now. It's been 3 or 4 laps like this. Howard's still looking up over his shoulder as he comes past the commentary box and up over the bridge into the corkscrew. They come once more. Much wider line there from Howard. That's going to allow Cook to get back up the inside.
The guys at the back of the pack at the moment, so Richardson and Morgan, they've extended their gap between themselves at 2 seconds now. So this is where the fatigue starts to hit in. But these two drivers, first and second, even closer this time round, 0.2 of a second.
James is having a look. James has got to be inside it. It's for the lead. James has held it through the chicane, has he? Yes.
What a fantastic move that was. That was absolutely brilliant.
What a run. That was
Hopefully we got that on a replay to watch later because that was absolutely superb
effort. And now can Howard respond to Cook? Can he keep it going? He's got a quicker lap time. So let's see if Howard can keep that move under wraps, control it. And he's got him. Well, I don't know what happened there, PJ.
That was fantastic. He was getting inching closer and closer and closer, and he took it, and he saw an opportunity, and he took it. And my God, that was a fantastic, especially to hold it when you ran a little bit wide. He managed to hold it on the inside line and capitalise on it, but he's still looking over his shoulder because Howard isn't going to let him get away with that too long. So there's still 0.4 of a second between these drivers as they make their way down the corkscrew under the bridge.
Tell you what, Howard was very wide through there. I thought he lost it. He's opened the gap up, but Howard isn't letting Cook get away now. We've got 4 laps to go once they cross the line. and this is going to be a fantastic. And look at James's exit on the final corner. Howard has now got the better line. It seems whoever's in the front has got a poor line through the final corner, and they go wide through turn one, and Howard nearly creeping up the inside, but not quite doing it. Through the chicane, they're going up over the bridge.
There are only 4 laps left of this race, and they are still 0.4 of a second between them as they come down through the corkscrew and under the bridge.
Through under the bridge they come into the hairpin. Can Howard stay with Cook as they come into the final corner again? This is where Cook seems to be a bit slower on exit, and there was a little bit of contact again where Howard is getting so close to the back of Cook. Cook's trying to slow him down on exit. I think this is some sort of tactic for Cook, because they're running a little bit slower than their fastest times now. I think Cook's just going defensive. We've got 3 laps to go.
It's fantastic as we look a little bit further back on the lap times as well. So Richardson there, he's 12 seconds off the lead, followed then by a kind of a 3-second gap or 2.7 gap to Morgan behind him. So Morgan's dropping off the back of Richardson at the moment, but the guys at the front, they are keeping their pace up. Their lap times are only kind of improving, but they're only slightly slower, being a little bit more defensive. So Cook, now he's being more defensive, is losing a little bit of lap time, and Howard, because he's behind him, he's actually lapping within 0.1 of a second of his best lap. So
last lap time they were separated by 0.003 of a second, PJ. They are not letting up. They both want to win this race, and if there's any sort of mistake, I believe Richardson is still a little bit close enough to probably get through.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That move down at turn 1, I can't wait to see the replay of that, because that genuinely was something quite impressive. He came from nowhere, and I think with Howard having had him on the back following around the whole circuit, kind of didn't take into consideration the fact he may make a move, and he came from quite far back, but he made it stick.
PJ, we're on our final lap. Is he going to be close enough to make a move anywhere? Looks like he might be a bit too far away for going into the corkscrew, but I have been proven wrong before. As they come back under the bridge, under the bridge now and into the hairpin under the bridge. It looks like Cook's got this all wrapped up into the final corner. A small mistake and that's it. Good exit from the pair of them, PJ.
And it is checker flag as they cross the line. What a fantastic race that was. I know it came down to that one move, but my God, that was one hell of a move.
What a move. I don't think Howard expected it. He came from quite far back compared to what we've seen down there.
Let's watch as Richardson crosses the line now in kart 47 in 3rd place, with Morgan following behind there, kart 50, and finishing 17.5 seconds off the leader, and with just 2.5 seconds between those guys separating them at the end. So,
well, PJ, what a race. What a start to our race day here at TRCK. Junior Sprint Series Round 1, Race 1. And I can't believe we've had that move. That was fantastic start. So early for these boys as well. And I think Joe's signalling to me to say he's got the replay. Let's have a look.
So as you watch down here, he's actually managed to slink it up the inside, and he's been able to hold it as well. As you see, he's coming through there, and he's managed to then cut to the inside, the left-hander, which if he'd left that open would have given Howard the opportunity to come back at him. We're
going to see it one more time, I think. So let's just have a quick look. Already in the braking zone, he's already made that late decision. He was so far away before the braking zone, and he thought, you know what, hit the brakes, and he's gone up the inside. That's caught Howard unaware, and you can see Howard's had to double brake. Their lights come on, and he's still hitting the brakes. Then Cook runs wide. Howard's thinking, I can get back alongside, but Cook's done the right thing, slowed him down into the chicane, and held the position.
That was a fantastic move. I really, really enjoyed that. And just a big thumbs up to everyone for getting the replay out there. That looked fantastic. Yes. So we're quite proud. I know it's not as good as the overtake.
Score one for our replay system. PJ, are you going to get a little chat with James then?
Yeah, which race suit is he in?
He's in the white tasseled one, the black with the white, PJ.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to go over there now. If I can just grab a word with James, if that's all right, guys. Come and have a chat with me. Don't worry, I'm not scary. Come and stand in front of the camera. So, young man's coming through here. So, Mr. Cook, that was some move you did down into that first corner.
Yeah, well, I just saw the gap and then went for it.
So you guys were lapping, you're about 0.4 of a second, 0.3 of a second, 0.2 of a second between you on most of those laps. And did you think that opportunity would come up, or?
I didn't think it would come up, but I just sort of had to force my way. Otherwise I wouldn't have won it.
Well, it was nice and clean, and we got a fantastic replay of it in slow motion. So later on, you can watch that back and take some pride in that. That was a fantastic overtake. So looking forward to the next session. So have a bit of a break, and we'll go from there. Okay. Take care. Right, then we'll go back to the commentary box. We'll have a small little break before we before we get on with the next session. But that was a fantastic move there by the young Mr. Cook, as I shall call him from now on. So I don't know if you heard that, Reno, but he just went for it. He said,
Well, that's the best thing that you can do. If I'm honest, just sometimes it is all about that instinctive, just to boom and get that position. It's sometimes you can't plan for it, and these sort of things just happen.
They do indeed. So what's coming up next then, Reno?
So we have got our first one-lap qualifier. Now the marshals were testing this all last year for this particular event for adults, and obviously the junior series. We've introduced it for the second qualifying round. So one-lap qualifying was very pressurised. There's no mistakes can be done through that one single lap that they have. They have an out lap, their fast lap, and then it will be their in lap. Now, if they do cross the line again and they do not do their in lap, then unfortunately they do get their time disallowed and they'll start from the back of the grid. But one lap qualifying, we saw a lot in that the drivers are making them mistakes. We've got a marshal, Will, who is our fastest driver, or was before testing the other day, but he would make mistakes at turn one consistently. There's so much pressure. Even Norby, our track supervisor, who is insanely quick around our track, even he was making mistakes when it came down to the qualifying. Drivers who aren't so quick, and they won't mind me saying that, they actually just kept it consistent, John and Joe, in the last time we tested it, and they out-qualified people like Norby, like Will, who are a lot quicker. So there's always room for improvement, but there is so much to lose in one lap qualifying.
Absolutely. So one lap qualifying is actually less about how light you are, less about how you are quick round one lap. It's more about how you can race. And I said earlier that most drivers warm their tyres up ready for a one lap qualifier, but they fail to warm their brakes up, which is why they have so much problem when they go into the first corner, hit those brakes, cold brakes. It's never a recipe for success, cold brakes and cold tyres. So really, to be fair, the driver that is managing to keep it cool, doesn't feel the pressure of the one lap, just takes that one lap as if it's a series of many. That's the driver that will really succeed in this one lap qualifying session.
Just going back to what you said about the brakes there, Peach, the driver's got to remember as well, we've got a 100-metre run from the final corner down to turn one, and obviously the brakes will cool down during that time. So no matter if the driver thinks, oh yeah, the final corner, my brakes are good, if they haven't got it just right, down the straight they'll cool down, they won't have brakes for turn one.
Absolutely. So we're going to just fade out to our screen here while the drivers are just having their quick break, and we're going to get some links sent out to all the drivers on all the leagues and things like that, so that you know where to watch us. I know we're broadcasting live into the diner at the moment, so hopefully someone up there knows to sit the kettle on for me, because I could do with another brew.
Always. It's still too early for most people, I think.
Yeah, I'm not used to being up this early, especially not on a Sunday, especially not working this early on a Sunday. But there we go. We'll cut to the thing. The thing. There's a more technical term for that. Is there a more technical term, guys? There's four of us in here.
Our cutaway.
Our cutaway. There we go. But thank you very much, and we'll see you very shortly. Welcome back, guys. So the first driver is out for his out lap on his one lap qualifier, so we're going to follow them as they come round on the circuit. So he's just going down through the corkscrew now. So this is a really essential part here, the kart preparation for the lap. So it's Cook that's out there at the moment. You can see from the overlay on the screen that he's about to start his fast lap. So let's watch him as he begins his lap, and let's see how well he can do and keep it together. So down into the first corner, he's running nice and wide, he's on the brakes at the right time, he's managed to hold it together, not running too wide there, and he cuts back in through that chicane perfectly, running a little bit wide, missing the apex in the first part of the chicane, but then he's up and over and down towards the corkscrew.
I heard him hit the barrier on the chicane there, PJ, so that's going to cost him a bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely. So now he's coming out under the bridge, and that's actually really, really good exit through there, so it's just this last corner that's the important bit.
All bit sideways through the middle. Let's see what he can do across the line. And it's a 32.581. It wasn't as bad as we thought there.
Excellent. So we're going to cut through now to the start-finish straight, ready for our next driver, who's going to be starting.
It's Howard.
It's Howard.
So he's coming through the final corner now. We're just waiting for him to come through. Here he comes down the main straight.
Okay, and Howard is making his way down now into the first corner. There he is on our screens. And he comes through, run a little bit wide there with the back end of the cart, a little bit too much on the brakes, I think, and lost a bit of traction, but he managed to recover that quite well through the chicane, up and over the bridge, heading down towards the corkscrew now, and he's on his brakes. He run a really nice bit wide.
A bit wide, yeah.
But, you know, he doesn't look like he sacrificed too much speed running that wide, so he's in, through, and out, and you can hear the cart skipping along the surface, which means he's at the point of grip, which is the perfect place to be. Nice entry into that corner.
Decent exit as well, PJ.
Exit. And Howard crosses the line now. Where did he put that lap?
Slower, 32.841.
Okie dokie. So he's now going to be finishing his in lap, and then we've got our next driver.
Richardson is out. He's coming through the final corner now.
Excellent. So Richardson now is making his way across the line to start his lap. So let's see how well he does. So far, so good for everyone in this session. He's
so far
running perfectly. He's on the brakes. He's run really wide.
But it's a decent exit actually. So he might have gained it, but very sideways through the chicane.
Yeah, carried a bit too much speed through that.
I think he might have clipped the inside barrier on the third exit there as well. And Howard's gone through one more time. Howard's going to have his lap taken away. He's done 2 laps.
So that's interesting. So we'll keep watching Richardson here as he comes through and round the final corner, a little bit wide on the entry. He's running quite wide through a lot of the corners at the moment. I don't know if that's tyre temperature or not, but let's wait to see the lap time, see where that puts him. So,
well,
unfortunately, that's 34.
Too. It's a lot slower than what he's done previously, but let's see what Morgan can do.
Yeah, so Morgan's now, he's going to be going into the last corner, and he's going to be coming down to the start finish straight now as he starts his fast lap. Away in kart 50 he goes, down into the first corner. And then we can see him might have lost the feed on that camera for the moment, but he ran a little bit wide there and came to a bit of a stand, but he's going through that chicane. He's managed that quite well, and he's up over the bridge now and into the corkscrew.
Yeah, and we've got him coming in through the corkscrew. Decent line, bit of a jump, and his exit's going to be compromised, that's for sure. Under the bridge, he's going to have to turn and get out of the power. Through under the bridge and into the final corner he comes. Let's see his exit. Well, entry was quite slow. He missed the apex and clipped the barrier, so pressure's definitely got to young Leo. Across the line he goes, and it's a 35.2. So you'll notice there, Howard's done 2 laps. He's not meant to do that, and that will be a penalty, which means he starts from the back of the grid, PJ.
That will mix things up considering how quick he was in the last session. So with him starting at the back, it's going to really mix up that first corner. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do from that position. I do see him being able to pass Richardson and Morgan if he's able to keep that difference in lap time. You know, that I can see here from the screen is Howard's last lap time. His best one was a 32.841, and the guys behind him was a 34.291. Now, admittedly, it's a lot slower than the original qualifying. Yeah. There's a lot of more pressure, so this won't be outright fastest time. But yeah.
It's gonna be throwing it around a little bit, PJ.
He is, yeah. I'm going to leave you to go and have a chat with the boys about the penalty for Howard there. Unfortunately, it's essential that you come in on your in-lap. Failure to do so adds an extra cart to the circuit, and it makes it a little bit more difficult for the guy whose track time or one-lap qualifying session it is, because if you're out on that circuit and you spin out and you shouldn't be there, you're not an in-lap or an out-lap or your fast lap, then that's really going to upset other people. So yeah, if we're just going to have a little word with him, we'll be put into the back of the grid for the start of this one. But I expect the guys to be just setting up the race now. I think we can see David there on his mobile marshalling device.
Yep, we do have a remote desktop system for the boys on their phones, so if you do catch them, they're not just paying attention to their phone, boys. They are actually doing some system work. So just in case anyone thinks, actually, that's not that very professional, is it? They're on their phone. There is a reason for it.
So we're going to see the lineup here for this first race, which is going to be Cook, followed by Richardson,
Morgan, and then Howard has been taken away his fastest lap, so not disqualified. I'm not going to say disqualified, but what's the way? He's been penalised, shall we say. He's had to receive a penalty for crossing the line twice.
He's quite lucky, actually, because there's only 4 drivers on the grid, so he's moved 1 row back.
Yeah, effectively,
so, he would have gone from second, which would be on the right-hand side, to being 4th, which is also on the right-hand side, but 1 row back. So it's not a massive compromise. No, it's not ideal for him, obviously.
Not ideal for the second race of the season, but it's the first time they've done 1-lap qualifying. So just remember, though, guys, there is obviously the drop round systems in place as an amateur league. So you've got 14 races count out of 18 this season for juniors. So there is that to think about as well. If he can't get through the grid properly, then yeah, it's not going to be a massive issue. He can drop this round if need be.
Excellent. So you can see the guys lining up on the grid now. There's the running order on your screen for you as well. So the marshals are just making sure that they are up to the lines and there's no one starting with a bit of advantage. So remember, it's yellow lights means that our circuit and marshals are ready. Red lights is race is going to be on, and as soon as the lights go out, it's race away. So the guys lining up, yellow lights are on now. It's red lights. It's lights out, where we go. Let's get a replay of that start as well, just to see where we can look back on that a little bit later on, and then making some good moves.
Look at Howard going down the outside of Morgan already. He's already up to 3rd place, so that's a good start. I think Cook had a good start, and Richardson also, so Morgan's been caught napping on the start.
Yeah, Morgan there kind of almost let him through a little bit. I think he felt the pressure of Howard coming up behind him there. But as you see these guys come down to court, so there's all sorts of different lines going on as they come through there now as they exit through. So they are spreading out a little bit. I can definitely see that Richardson's holding back Howard a little bit there. So hopefully, if Richardson can pick up the pace or Howard can make a move on him, Cook won't be able to get away so quickly. So there's a 1 second gap now between Cook in 1st and Richardson in 2nd, with Howard there in 3rd. We're 1.5 seconds behind, but all still within the 2 seconds of each other on that first lap.
Well, with how close they were running in race 1, you can only expect Howard needs to get through and pass Richardson early to hunt Cook down and have a great race like he did in the last one. But look at the gap already. Cook has got to bolt. He's got to go for it early on in the race, get the gap going, so Howard makes it hard for himself if he can't get through and pass Richardson early on.
Yeah, it's really good because now Cook is that far ahead. It's 1.8 seconds ahead, which means that he can start to be less defensive and concentrate on that 1-lap pace, which he's quite good at. But that doesn't mean that's less pressure for Kart 47, because Kart 47 now is having to be very, very defensive against Howard behind him, because Howard will see an opportunity and will get past him. But still the same thing, you know, the corkscrew. There seems to be a bit of a different line going on. So we're going to watch as they come across the line. So Cook is still quite far ahead there. He's just crossed the line now with the other drivers coming down. Do apologise, we'll get the cameras sorted there. There we go. So we can see it's 2.7 second gap now between Cook and Richardson, with Howard only 0.4 of a second behind Richardson in front, and with Morgan there, he's lapping 1 second behind Howard. So there's a little bit of a gap there, but you watch them as they come into the corkscrew. There are our drivers as they go down through the corkscrew. They are still very, very close.
I think you know what, looking at that line, PJ, sorry to interrupt, I think that's going to be the place where Howard really needs to have a look up at Richardson. He's alongside coming down the straight, is he? Not quite, so Richard's going to cover that inside line, and Howard's got to find a way through. He's been, and Richardson's gone wide, and Howard straight up the inside, he's been let through. So yeah, fantastic.
And he's managed to hold it through the chicane as well as they go up and over the bridge. So he's now made it past. So Howard has passed Richardson, which means, you know, he's still going to be 4 seconds behind Cook in front. And there's still 16 laps this race left.
Still
so
16 laps,
still
PJ, so there's lots to go. Apologies if anyone's having issues with the cameras back in the back at home or in the diner. Seems to be something's interfering
You've got a little
with
bit
the
of stuttering
cameras.
going on there. But it's fine because the racing's still going on.
Racing's still happening, and it's some good racing as well. Let's see what Howard can do then. Fastest lap of the race so far is Cook, 32.173. Howard, 32.862. And Richardson, 33.231.
So Cook's managed to actually get a 1.2 second... Howard... I do apologise.
Get there.
Howard has managed to get a 1.2 second gap in front of Richardson already, and it's been one lap. So he is closing down a little bit, but it's the gap between Howard and Cook that we're really looking at.
Yeah, and it is
now.
increasing, PJ. It's gone up to 5 seconds now.
Yeah, so last time around, Howard was 0.2 of a second slower than Cook. So
yeah, he's not making them gains that he needs to. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see because there's still a long way to go. We've only had 6 laps. It'll be 7 when Cook crosses the line this time round.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because if Cook can kind of keep his focus when you're at the front of a race, as I often am, it's really a matter of focus. So, you know, if he loses focus for whatever reason, maybe it's because he's not, having to focus, he's not having to defend as much. If he loses focus on this lap, those 4.9 second difference or gap that he's got will start to diminish very quickly. So Howard was actually lapping slightly 1/10 faster than Cook last time around.
I don't think it's going to be enough. It's down to 4.9 seconds a gap. He's got to find a couple of attempts more, especially if Cook's fastest lap 32.1. He's still got some in the locker.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still, Cook can still pull out a little bit more lap time. And this time around, Cook's at 32.25 and Howard's 32.38.
So they're trading lap times, PJ, but it's still sitting 4.9 and 5 seconds now for the last 3-4 laps. We've got 12 laps to go, including this one that they're on now. There's still time, but obviously Cook is in command of this race.
Oh, absolutely. So we have got to replay the start of this race as well, so we can see which drivers got off the line well and if any of them had a compromised start. But I can see that the drivers near the back, so we've got Morgan and Richardson now very close. Let's just see the gap as they cross the line now. So yeah, they're lapping within 0.3 of a second of each other, so that's where a little bit more action is going to happen now because Morgan is all over the back of Richardson there, so Richardson's really got to keep an eye on it because Morgan will put a move on him if he can. Best lap times as well. Morgan's slightly faster with a 33.199, whereas Richardson's fastest lap times is 33.207.
Yeah, Richardson really struggling at the moment. Morgan all over the back of him.
And Morgan was faster last time around as well with 33.8, Richardson with 33.9. I can see they're coming into the final corner now. They're on your screens as they cross the start-finish line. We'll just get an update of that gap.
Can Morgan have a look up the inside? He's close enough, but not this time.
Still 0.4 of a second between these drivers. I think Morgan's in a good position now to capitalise on something, and if you can almost force Richardson into making a mistake, and by force someone into a mistake, I don't mean by punching them into a barrier.
No.
That's not forcing someone into a mistake.
Not quite, no.
If you keep putting your cart in the right place, make sure they know you're there, make sure they feel the pressure, make sure they are the ones trying to brake later, not yourself. If you can get another driver in front to react to what you're doing, then
he's all over the back of him. He's going to get alongside.
He's got alongside him now as they come down into the first corner. That's a fantastic move.
Well, Richardson waving to the marshals. He thinks that maybe
we'll
there's
a replay on that one.
Yeah, he's waving to the marshals. I don't think his car. Maybe he's not happy with the car because he was waving to the marshals, saying, "What's going on? Was it the marshal? Was it his dad up on the platform there?" Cook is through.
Whatever the reason is, as a racer, you tend to blame the kart first. But let's be honest, we do a kart test. These karts are all very close to each other. I always blame the kart first. No matter, the fact I didn't brake into the corner and I went straight through a barrier, it's the kart's fault.
Yeah, it was a kart fault.
Nothing to do with my driving.
No.
Absolutely not. So that was a really good move by Morgan, actually, down into that first corner. He saw the opportunity and he took it. And getting someone on the exit of that last corner is quite an impressive feat.
Yeah, he's done really well. But since we were looking back at them two battling, Howard has got the gap back down to 4.6 last time around. Let's have a look this time. 4.4. He's got 7 laps to do it. Let's see what he can do.
Now, you'll notice that Morgan and Richardson they'll be coming down into the first corner very shortly. That gap's increased massively. So whether it's Richardson was just holding Morgan up and holding his true pace off, we don't know. But it seems now that Richardson's been passed, whether he's kind of lost the drive that he had, or whether he was just slower than Morgan, I'm not too certain, but that gap's really extended, so Richardson really needs to keep on him to have another opportunity to attack. Bit slow into the corkscrew there.
Gaps increase at the front, 4.5 seconds a gap, 6 laps to go. So Cook is starting to put the pressure back on. It's very hard with this sort of gap, PJ, especially when you're trying to look behind you in the corners. Typically speaking, the final corner is always where we look over our shoulder, and we use the pillars to see where people are in comparison. So it might be a matter of he's picked a point and he's like, right, well, you're not getting close enough to me that time. Let's have a look what it is this time round. 32.3 from Cook. Howard does a 32.3 as well and closes the gap back down to a 4.464 of a second. 5 laps to go. Got to be now looking about a second a lap quicker just to catch him, Peach.
There is, but there's also that opportunity of the mistake. I always say, you know, there could be a mistake and one of these drivers to make a mistake and the other one capitalised on it. Now, they're all quite spread out actually over the circuit at the moment, all 4 drivers. So if we're watching Richardson come through that... No, we're not. We're watching Howard.
Cook and Howard. So Cook's just coming into turn 1. Howard across the line now. Gap's been reduced to 4 seconds. 4 laps to go.
Yeah, that was a half a second difference between Howard and Cook in that last lap. So I don't know whether Cook's starting to feel the pressure of the last few laps.
Howard has just taken the fastest lap of the race as well, so that will be a bonus point if he holds on to that by a mere 5,000ths of a second.
Yeah, that's impressive. And that's all extra points, fast lap extra points for the juniors.
1 point for fastest lap, 2 points for pole, Peach. But that just shows to show just how important 1 lap qualifying was, because Howard is having to really drive out of his skin. It's down to 3.5 seconds with 3 laps to go.
He is absolutely taking time off Cook left, right and centre at the moment. I think Cook's starting to... it's a matter of stamina possibly at the moment, or whether he's just making sure he's relaxed, he's controlling that gap. Because 3.5 seconds...
It's still a lot of time, PJ. He could just be managing it, just getting it down a bit slower than that. But we'll have to have a look and everything and just see what we can do.
Absolutely. So that lap, we're just going to see if that's that gap has changed at all. No, 3.5 seconds.
3.5 seconds, 2 laps to go. Cook's in control now. He's just got to stay on the track and not in the barrier.
Yeah, I'm going to have a little chat with Howard, Mr. Howard, when he comes off the circuit, just to see how he felt his race start went, and to see what he thinks of the moves that he made to get to where he is now. It was a good start, starting from the back of the grid up to second place. Admittedly, there are only 4 drivers, but still, getting past someone is not the easiest thing to do around this circuit. There are some great places to overtake, and they favour the brave sometimes. And that gap now to Howard, between Howard and Cook, is extended to 3.7 seconds.
And we are on the final lap, PJ, so unless Cook makes a mistake now, it is his for the taking, and it's going to be another win for him today.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to just seeing how that replay from the start went, and Morgan's overtake as well. That's going to be really good to see. So
they're coming through the final corner now, PJ. Checkered flag should be out.
Checker flag now is coming out for Kart 48. Cook, what a fantastic race from him, and he crosses the line. 3.4 seconds in front of Howard. Howard's crossed the line there with the fastest lap of the race, 32.168. That may change. We've still got Morgan and Richardson to cross the cross the line, so one of these could put a fastest lap in, but I think Howard's got that in the bag for now. So let's just watch as these guys come across the line.
Richardson's back completely out. I think his race is done. I don't know what quite happened when Morgan overtook him.
We certainly didn't see anything on the live stream or out the window that would suggest any kind of foul play or mishap or anything like that. I just genuinely think that Morgan had a better exit out of that corner, and you know, maybe Richardson's punishing himself for making that one mistake. And unfortunately, in karting, one mistake can cost you the race, and that's one thing you've got to really learn how to handle.
Well, Morgan is also a lot lighter, so he could have got a much better exit on the final corner. I know Morgan is our smallest and youngest driver in the junior series, and I know Richardson's, I think he's the oldest driver in the series. PJ, you run off. You grab them interviews with Howard for us.
Yeah, I'll go and do that now quickly. I'm just going to grab him just before he comes off the grid. Nice race there, young man.
Okay.
How did you find the start?
It was pretty good. I did, like, round that corner I didn't do very well, but I made it up.
So from 4th to 2nd, that's quite a good result. In the end, you're only 3.5 seconds behind the guy in front. So you were gaining on him, and it was a great race.
Okay, thank you.
No problem, well done. So we'll head back to the commentary box now, and that is us done for the Junior League, I believe, today. So the fans have just turned off, and the marshals are going to rest the carts and make sure that to do any spanner checks that they need to make sure they're nice and fresh for the next one. I know our pitcher's frozen a little bit, but do hang with us. It will be all nice and smooth for the next part. But just before we go, we want to have a look at the replays.
Yeah.
So if we can queue up one of the replays, well, which one?
Joe's just looking for them now, Peach. So we had a couple of replays through that one.
Shall I do some filler while?
Here we go.
Here we go.
Try again, Joe. Try again first. Here we go. Here we go. So let's see it. So this is. Let me just have a look. I think this is Howard going past Richardson for second place. That was quite early on in the race. So you can see already just on that freeze frame that Richardson is very wide, and you know, Morgan, even in the background, he's got that line down to close the gap on Richardson, which actually set him up quite well for the rest of the race. As we're just rewinding back, look how wide he is in comparison. He's only just starting to turn in at turn 1 compared to Howard, and there's a massive gap there. And of course, Howard's going to go up the inside there. Because look, you could just see it there. Look, he's just going too wide. I don't know if that's to do with the issue at turn 1, what we had this morning, but at the end of the day, you know, that is racing, and unfortunately, the track is never going to be perfect for every single lap. You know, there could be little bits. I know we're an indoor track, but it's exactly the same as everything there. So
we should have another replay actually of, is it Morgan's move, Joe? Have we got that one on the replay cam? We might do. We'll just I'll just put some filler in. So just while Joe quickly looks at that, I will mention that the Race Club Diner is open for you guys. Anyone that's coming to do the Adult League later today, there'll be food available before and after the racing. And any spectators are more than welcome to join them. It's a fully licensed bar up there, so you can have yourself a nice pint, glass of wine, cocktail, pretty much anything you like, really.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I know Matt upstairs, he'll be doing a special two big pizzas for £15, including large fries as well. So get yourself down there. That's a good one.
I think there was a bet about one lap qualifying before we started, where if there was a mistake on one lap qualifying, that people would buy me dinner. Just to remind everyone in the commentary box that did occur. I
didn't want to remind you, Peach. I did remember that, but yeah, so that's going to cost me a little bit tonight, isn't it?
But thankfully, you know, it's 2 for £15, so you're getting a good deal.
Thankfully, I can have a pizza with you, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are now ready for the replay. So this one is going to be the replay of.
Let's have a look.
Let's see what we've got coming up here. It's dark, so it looks like the first thing I saw this morning, just darkness.
Yeah, let's just give them a bit of time. It's a new system, so we're just waiting to see.
And a new button presser as well. There's even more screens in here this year than there was last year. So we're just fading over to that replay.
For some reason, it's not coming up.
No, I haven't got a feed on that camera for some reason.
Strange.
So that's an odd one. We'll maybe try a different replay and see if that makes any odds to what we're trying to achieve.
There is a little bit more coming up later today. So when we get these replays back up and running, we'll give the boys a little bit of time to try and sort it out. There is going to be we're going back live again at around about 10 to 12 now. The next race is at 1.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be going live probably just a little bit before that.
Yeah,
just so that we can. Maybe watch the practice session, see how it starts. We may just join in at the qualifying session, because practice sessions aren't massively interesting for spectators.
No.
But
it is the Cadet Series Spring Series now, Cadet League Spring Series, should I say, for its full name. It's round 1. The cadets will be split into 4 championships throughout the year to qualify for their finals in December. So do stick with us, and we have got a very special Challenge Peach coming up for you later on today.
Yeah, and unfortunately it's not who can drink the most coffee, because I would definitely win that competition.
It's a series of questions for you, Peach. I hope you've done your homework. It's Formula 1 history for this round. So hopefully you've touched up on your questions, and hopefully you'll know a little bit. It's not going to be too challenging, because we want the people at home to.
Is it going to be multiple choice?
I could give you multiple choice, mate. Yeah, I can give you multiple choice.
Don't make it too easy for me, but we'll see.
No, I wouldn't dare, Peach. Wouldn't dare. I want to test you.
We're going to be challenging. I think we're going to be asking the questions to some of the drivers as well, just to see if they know and they can beat me at it. But what we'll do is, if we've not got the replays working at the moment, we'll call it quits for now. Thank you for joining us for the Junior League. We'll be back for the juniors again on April the 4th.
Yeah.
First Sunday of April, which I believe is the 4th.
April the 4th, I believe. I'll have to double check, but it'll be all on our Facebook posts and everything like that. So do follow us on Facebook.
Do like and subscribe to our
YouTube channel.
Yep, YouTube channel.
and
Share that link on
Twitch.
Facebook, and we're on Twitch now
Yeah.
as well. Rumours are we're going to have some merch. Probably a nice T-shirt with Minorino's face on it. So you
Yeah.
can walk around as you know, a lovely pair of yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining us for the Junior League. We'll be back with the Cadet League in an hour or so, and please share that link. Twitch is, you know, if you subscribe to us on Twitch, which you can't do quite yet, but if you keep that link on Twitch, we're going to go live on it every time. So
Yeah,
thank you very much.
You can follow us, though, I believe.
You can follow us. Yeah, you can't sub us, but you can follow us. So do
Beauty.
follow us to get that notification when we go live, and we'll catch you guys very soon.
Thank you very much.